game principles, we've looked at this. A couple quotes again, just to kind of get you in the mindset. Everything is easier if the first progression of the ball is clean. So if our first pass, our first attempt to go forward and progress the ball up the field is smooth and easy, then it tends to make things a little bit easier. If it's hectic and frantic and chaotic, then obviously that kind of impacts our play for the next few seconds to the next few minutes to potentially much longer in a game. So our goal here is to try to play as easily out of the back with control as possible. Quique Setien, he's the Barcelona manager. This is one thing about playing this way. I think as coaches we need to understand, and as players you need to understand that as well. Both have to be on the same page. Basically, if you try to play this way and you don't really work on it as a team, all right, both coaches and players, and then if you expect it to be perfect all the time, or you don't allow for things to go wrong, if you just blame the players or if you just blame yourself for making a mistake, it's never going to be possible to play this way. So the players and the coaches all have to be on the same page if they want to play that way. And to give you a personal example, one time I was playing in a state cup final, and this is the way I had this particular team play, and our goalkeeper held on to the ball too long, and she went to pass it and passed it directly to an opposing player. She tried back to make the save. She ended up getting red carded, and she blamed herself for getting red carded in the state cup final. And part of it was her, but part of it was on me as a coach, because that's the way that I asked her to play. So I had to take some responsibility for that red card, because if I told her anytime the ball comes back to you, just hoof it up the field as far as you can, don't mess around with it, then she wouldn't have been in that position at all. So, granted, she made the decision on the field to hold the ball a little bit longer, but then we had also, as a team, decided this is how we want to play, and we took that risk. So we can't just throw players to the lions, as it says, all right, and not protect them when things go wrong. Want to play this way. And then the last one is, we think of possession sometimes as keeping the ball to keep the ball. The quote from Lilo again, who is a big, if you're a Guardiola fan or a Man City fan or a Barcelona fan, he's a big influence on Pep. Playing it to keep it isn't the same thing as having it to play. So if we have the ball the whole time and never progress to goal, we never create anything from it, then really, hey, we lost 4-0, but man, we had 80% of the possession. We still lost 4-0. So there has to be that balance between having the ball and then also trying to objective of the game, which is to score a goal. So game principles. If you've been around for the other webinars, you should know this by now. So can we progress the ball forward to our goal? We penetrate behind the opponent. We penetrate behind that first line of pressure. That's what playing out of the back is. So this is, can we penetrate behind their forward line, who's putting that initial pressure on the ball to play out? And then can we penetrate behind the midfielders? Then we can penetrate behind their back line and hopefully create opportunities to score goals. So those are the basic game principles. I mean, we can get down into other principles of combination play and switching the point of attack and things like that. But when we really boil the game down, it's progress the ball, penetrate, and create goal scoring chances. So the phases of playing out of the back, or the phases of just possession, we have to start somewhere to progress the ball. All right. So we establish the attack to create or exploit space to go forward. So we need the ball and we need a starting point. All right. Regardless of where that is on the field, in this particular case that we're looking at it, it's going to be back by our own goal that we're defending. But that can start, the start or progress of the attack can be anywhere on the field, anywhere where you regain possession of the ball. But in this particular phase, we're going to be looking at closer to our own goal that we're defending. Now we want to build and retain. All right. So we arrive in advantageous areas closer to the opponent's goal. All right. And we either want to move the ball to avoid congestion or we want to go to the goal. All right. So again, as we play out of the back, we'll see this in a minute. It means we're going to get further up the field. We're going to start back by our own goal, and we're going to progress it to the middle of the field, or maybe even a little bit higher, closer to the goal we're trying to score on. But we're going to build and retain possession of the ball. And then finally, we're going to create and finish. So we want to open up the defense, and we want to arrive at the most dangerous areas possible to create a chance to score a goal. All right. So again, we're not possessing it to possess it and have it at the back, connect 50 passes between our back four and say, hey, we connected 50 passes in a row. That's great, but you still have the ball far away from your goal. So how is that really helping our team? So as I said, we're kind of looking at, this is the field. Now this is how I break my field down. All right. A lot of times you'll probably a lot of coaches will break it down into just 3 zones. So my zone 1 is from here, you know, is closer to our goal. Zone 2. All right. A lot of coaches will just combine zone 1 and zone 2. And again, it's not right or wrong, bad or good. It's just how every coach is a little bit different in how they look at things. I break it down into 6. So like if we're playing out from the back, we're going to have it in this zone, and then can we progress to this zone? All right, because I think once we get into this zone and this zone, they're a little bit different in terms of what our options are and how we're going to build out. But generally speaking, that's how we do it. So we look at our game phase when we're building out of the back. It's start and progress, all right, and then it's build and retain. All right, yes, we still want to create chances to goal, but as we look at this, these clips in particular, most of them are going to be about starting to progress and building to retain. There's a few where we extend it all the way out to create and finish, but you'll see a lot of clips where it stops around midfield. So if we look at that field again, we're in this zone. You see this more lightly colored zone. We're starting in this zone. All right, this is our starting point. And then our objective is, can we progress to this zone? Once we get to this part of the field, we start looking at a different phase of play, all right, where we have to do things slightly different. The principles still apply, but we have to do things just a little bit differently. So in these clips, it's going to be about going from this zone, the lighter colored zone, to this zone. So that'll be where we look. We talk about strategy. So we want to organize to create options to play the ball forward with control, all right? So with control, with purpose. We need to force defenders to make decisions, all right? So that is we're gonna do that with interchange and rotation of players, all right? So we're gonna move off the ball, and we're gonna find pockets of space for the ball carrier to pass the ball to us. We want to create and exploit superiorities. Like if we've been to the other webinars, superiority is a big word. Basically, can we force defenders to make decisions by moving and by creating better numbers than them, or being in better positions than they are? And then can we be intentional, purposeful with the ball so that we can move the goal? As we build forward, everybody has to have a little bit clearer idea of how we want to progress the ball up the field. It needs to be a little bit more rigid in terms of, because if we give up the ball, we're closer to our own goal and we're more likely to give up a goal. As we get closer to our own goal, that's when we start taking more risks and being more creative. And this goes back to the second webinar that we did on passing and supporting positions. So our team tasks. So we look at strategies; those are important. But now we've got to look at tasks. What do we need to do? All right. What do we need to do? And this goes back to strategy, organization. Okay, what organization? Well, we need to have maximal occupation of space, vertically up the field, so from the back to the front, and then horizontally from side to side. All right. We need a triangulation of support. So we need triangles. I'm sure you've heard your coaches say we need to make triangles or diamonds. So that's a big part of it. So as a team, we need to be looking to do that. And then we need to try to get behind defenders. So, and we do that by creating and using the space behind defenders, between defenders, or on the blind side where they can't see our movement. So that again is our team task. All right. As a team, we need to move the ball, all right, with the idea that we're going to penetrate through, around, or over our opponent. Because again, we want to get close to goal. We want to create goal scoring chances. We don't just want to knock it around for the sake of knocking it around. Can we find a free player? So again, can we use those numbers up that we talked about in strategy? Can we create that player with our movement and interchange off the ball? And then can we use that player? Sometimes we might use it by giving the ball directly to that player. Sometimes we might use that player because we forced the defender to make a decision between the player with the ball and the player who is free off the ball. And they choose the player who's free off the ball. Now the ball carrier can continue with the ball. So again, we go back to the first webinar, the decision to dribble or the decision to pass. And then we want to arrive with control into the advanced attacking area. So basically that's a fancy way of saying those first 2 zones that we saw on the slide a couple slides back, we want to go from zones 1 and 2 to zones 3 and 4. And then ultimately we want to go to 5 and 6. And we want the other team to pick the ball up out of the back of the net and walk it back to midfield for a kickoff. So we looked at team tasks. Now we have to look at player tasks. So within a team, you have individuals. So the group has certain things they need to do and they need to understand, but then individuals have certain actions they need to take. So in order to create triangulation as a team, individual players have to provide diagonal supporting positions off the ball. And we need to do that with width. So we need to stretch the field wide. We need to stretch the field high with length. And we need to make sure that we have players behind us so that we can circulate and go backward if that's what we need to do. All right, and then we need to find, so we said we need to create players in free space. Well, then individuals have to move into that free space. Again, behind, between, or off the shoulder of defenders. And then as a team, we need to eliminate defenders as quickly as possible. So is that, again, it goes back to the first webinar. Is that with a pass or a dribble? Or what type of pass? Or how am I dribbling? What is my purpose of dribbling? Am I dribbling to beat a player? Am I dribbling to provoke and attract players and then pass it? Am I dribbling to escape pressure? Am I dribbling to create a passing lane? So we have to, as an individual, our goal needs to be to eliminate defenders as quickly as possible. And the players off the ball, same thing. Am I moving to a space? Am I occupying a space that is going to allow us to eliminate a lot of defenders? Or am I just allowing more defenders to come to me? And then anticipation of action. So prepare for the next play. Especially as we're building out, we have to think, what if we lose it right here? What am I going to do? Or my teammate, I'm not in a good position. She can't get me the ball, but I think he's going to pass it to this player. And if that player receives the ball, yeah, that's the player who's most likely to get it. He's open. So what happens if that player gets it? What am I going to do? So I have to start thinking ahead a little bit to help my teammates out. If I'm constantly reacting to everything, it's going to slow our play down slightly. And that could be the difference between us getting out and us going to goal. Body orientation to play forward. So when we receive the ball, are we setting ourselves up to go forward? Again, we want to go forward. And if I'm not, then what am I going to do with it? Where am I going to go? So we have to make sure that our body is in a position for the pass to play forward, or that we have options to play in the direction we are facing. Eyes up. So can we, are we able to identify who my teammate is with the ball, where the spaces she has or he has to play me the pass, the space I have to go with the ball after I get it, where are my teammates who are supporting me, and of course, where are the opponents? All right, so those things we have to, as an individual, we have to pick our head up and do that in order to help us get out as efficiently as possible. All right, dribble to escape or provoke when necessary. Again, we talked about this a little bit in the first slide, but if we have to, again, playing out of the back is not all passing necessarily. Dribbling is a key aspect of it, and we'll see this again when we look at some of these clips. All right, and then as an individual, I have to be comfortable controlling the ball with all surfaces from a variety of heights and distances. This is true of everybody. Fullbacks, you think of fullbacks maybe not having to do well out of the air because they're a wider player, but a lot of times the ball will come out to you in the air to relieve pressure. All right, so that's just one example. Or we drop the ball back to a center back or even to a goalkeeper to play it back to their feet, and it's not the friendliest of passes in the world because their teammates under pressure. You've got to be able to deal with the ball coming at you from a variety of heights, on the ground, in the air, you know, floating in the air, driven at you, driven at awkward heights, bouncing, a soft pass, a really, really hard pass. We have to be able to do that individually to be able to effectively control the play out of the pass.
Hey, Joe.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Can you go back to that list real quick? I just want to chime in, you know, a couple of things that kind of came to mind. One of the really big important pieces is your body orientation off the ball. I mean, if you're going to build your way from one area of the field to another, so I reference the field in thirds. You know, Joe has 6, you know, which is great. They're both really good ways to at least identify particular zones. But if I want to move the ball from one zone to another, I really need to make sure that I'm on the half turn. So half turn, you know, players that I've worked with is a word I constantly refer to. If you show square, which means, you know, all your options they're only negative, right? So you're only going to go back. You're not going to be able to go forwards. If you're on the half turn, now it's easier to check your shoulder, right? You have the ability to receive, turn, and dribble. You can receive, turn, you know, and now you can make a forward pass. But you have to get comfortable doing more work on that half turn. So it allows you to see more of the field and then really take that playing out of the back concept, and you can use it everywhere. So the body orientation piece off the ball is very critical if you are going to play this way.
Yep, for sure. And we'll see, again, we'll see that in these clips, hopefully. So we're going to look at the first one. I like this one. All the teams, by the way, are youth teams, so U19 and under. To find some of these clips, I tried to find U.S. teams, and I was successful in some. To show really good clips, I ended up having to use Barcelona. It's their U15 team. They were here, and they played in the U.S. back in December down in Florida. So the girls' clips are Barcelona. The boys' clips are a mixture of DA teams. The team in yellow right here is Villarreal from Spain, and then the red team is FC Dallas. So anyway, I like this because this is a really good height to look at these clips. So we'll start playing it. Hopefully I won't screw it up if I have to go backward. But so we'll just look here. Goalkeeper's got it, rolls it out. All right, finds a center back. All right. So we look here. We talk about maximal occupation of space. All right. You see how Villarreal is at, and they leave that middle open. All right. Leave the middle open so they can drift into it. So we play it back to the goalkeeper here. Now you see that player could play out wide. You talk about body orientation, but the body orientation isn't great to play out this other side where they have numbers up. So he ends up playing back into the corner where they have a bit of a problem. Now you notice that player had to dribble to escape. All right, and he also creates a passing lane by doing that. Now, it's a pretty tight passing lane, but he's brave, and the player who's higher up the field recognizes that he's open because the fullback left. So again, I just want to go back real quick. So you notice the fullback should be here. This is their fullback. He's pressed all the way up. So this player recognizes, hey, you know what, I can get the ball. This player has picked his head up and recognized there's the free player. Pass wasn't of the best weight, so the player couldn't go forward right away. We notice in the middle of the field now, Villarreal has some players, and they have a lot of space to play. They try to go there, pass, not the best quality, but support around it. Again, try to switch out here to open space, not the best quality. Now we look here. So we've got space. We've got 3 players for Villarreal, but 5 for FC Dallas. Now there's a space where this player could dribble forward, but then what's his options going to be? He's still going to be outnumbered by 2 players, so maybe not the best. He's just going to keep it. Going to be a little bit patient. You notice this player's body orientation receives on the foot closest to the goal he's defending, so he can't actually go forward into that space. And he knows that, so he just goes backward instead of trying to force it. So again, they were able to get numbers over here to this closer side of the field. So if we switch to the center backs, now we can get it over. Maybe we have a numerical advantage. So we'll go back one more time here real quick just to see this little point, because we're forcing defenders to make a decision. 3v2 on this side. Is this defender going to step to the ball, or is he going to defend the space behind him? Is this defender going to step to the space in front or the space behind? See, they get caught up defending the space behind, so the player with the ball can drive forward on the dribble. The player closest to their own goal, he chose to defend the space in front, and that opens up this opportunity to go long with the ball. Now, their goalkeeper was there to deal with it, but we put him under pressure, and unlucky shot off the post. All right, but we start with that maximal occupation of space, and then that movement of the ball. There were opportunities for them to go forward and be more direct, but that's not how their style of play is, and so they're a little bit more patient. So this is 2 teams from Liga MX down in Mexico, youth teams, U17 teams, I believe. Team in yellow and red is Morelia Monarcas, and the team in white is Cholos from Tijuana. So start with the goalkeeper here. You know, he plays the ball inside the box to his teammate. The first pass forces Tijuana to move. Cholos has to move here. They've got 5 players in good position. So Monarcas just says, well, we're going to switch the ball through the center back. We're going to see what the numbers are like on the other side. Now, this pass here is key. All right? This pass is key. And watching a lot of clips, all right, watching a lot of clips of teams trying to play out of the back, youth teams trying to play out of the back, this is a pass that a lot of them were reluctant to make. And I'll say, even at the boys DA level, I didn't see teams try to make this pass that splits defenders. Remember, we talked about eliminating defenders as quickly as we could. 1, 2, 3 defenders taken out of the picture with one pass. Most of the time, those teams are trying to play a very different pass, all right? Maybe a pass out here to the fullback, but it doesn't really eliminate any defenders. So this is a pass. If you're a central defender and you want to be good at playing out of the back, this is a pass you have to master, all right? And this might be one you talk to your coach, Coach, I want to work on this pass. And in training today, I'm going to be risky with it. I'm going to try more than I normally try. And your coach says, okay, fine. Then I know that when you try that and it's not a mistake, we can talk about it and I'm not going to get too upset with you. We might have a discussion about it. But again, this might be your own individual goal that you want to play. You notice that the body position here of the player receiving it, he's open. He's less predictable for the defender. So you see the defender immediately drops off, gives him time and space. Now, he could go forward with it, but he would have been going 1v2, and instead he can go join the attack, and now they have 4 players in the attack. Again, we go back with it, get more numbers in the attack, go back with it. We keep adding numbers going forward. And now I don't have diagrammed anything, but now we're into that zone we talked to. Can we progress it from the zone by our goal into the other half of the field? All right, and here Monarchus does that. All right, they keep possessing. Okay, eventually they get down into what I call zone 6. All right, and they win a corner out of it. So you see there's importance of shifting the ball from one side to the other. They look up, the numbers weren't there initially. All right, Cholos have done a good job of getting 5 players on that side of the ball, so we go to the other side to see if we can go there. Once we do that, all right, we take advantage. All right, we start going forward. We receive with open body position. All right, and we're able to attack and get forward. If he doesn't receive with open body position, he's forced to go back. So this is FC Dallas now against Villarreal. All right, if you're paying attention, Villarreal has scored a goal. This is FC Dallas going to build up though. Pretty standard one. We talk about triangulation. So we look here, play out through the center. Well, must not have put the right video in. So if we look, sorry, this is supposed to be one with the diagram, but we look triangle. 1, 2, 3. There's one triangle. 1, 2, 3. There's a second triangle. All right. Really, if we want to go all the way to this player, there's a diamond. All right. So we're good there. We play the next pass. Triangle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So plenty of triangles there. Plenty of options. Defenders are going to have to choose between who they're going to go to. Continue to go. Still have a triangle. All right. So we look at that triangulation and see how it allows us to go forward because it provides those options with the ball. You notice that pass between and behind defenders, that gets them into the next zone. All right, and again, they're looking to play a ball behind defenders to get in. It's a fantastic save by the goalkeeper. Fantastic block. And then a near miss. FC Dallas unlucky there to not be up or not be tied 1-1. So this is the Barca girls. This is the final of the tournament they played in Florida. Okay, we're going to just look at rotation. So what this player moves out and this player goes forward. This player's left to make a decision. So they advance it into the area we want. Again, that player makes her run. She's vacating the space, rotating into another area, opening up a passing lane. You see this midfielder is moving into that zone. Again, we're going to have a little bit of rotation or movement. Opens that up. Again, rotation. Now, it would have been nice if they could have gotten to the other half of the field, but they did get closer to this part of the field, and we see that interchange of players and how we have to be very, very mobile. If we're a 6, we can't necessarily stay deep the whole time. If we're 10, we can't just necessarily stay high the whole time. This is FC Dallas. So goalkeepers, take a look at that. Again, if we're going to play out of the back, goalkeepers, this is a key component. For me, if I don't have a goalkeeper who can play out, I'm not going to try to play out because we have to be able to use the goalkeeper. Goalkeepers looking to play at a higher level. not every single college plays this way, but a lot of them are going to ask you to be able to play with your feet. So it's something that you should not neglect. It's something you should really put a lot of focus on in your training. So you notice the goalkeeper here. The goalkeeper is the one that escapes or eludes pressure on the dribble. Watch his little whoop right there, gets out. So we're just going to look at triangles. And we progressed it into the other half of the field. All right. Again, Barcelona girls. See how 8 just rotates there? Goes on the other side of the defender, made her make a choice. And now they have an easy exit. Into the attacking third. All right. Going to regain it here. And you'll see again, they have an opportunity to possess, goalkeeper being a little bit brave there. So they reset the attack. This is their fullback getting it. She's dropped deeper. Notice the angle, the triangulation there of players again. Playing a lot of diagonal passes makes it more difficult for PDA to defend. And you notice every time a player gets it, they're looking to go to a space to get it again. Again, Barcelona girls, center back is going to start in possession. They find the 6. Watch, they're going to play it in here to the 8. So you see how 3 players here are all focused on 1 player. And now, boom, all 3 of them are gone. I've eliminated all 3 of them. And Barca, I believe, actually scores a goal from this. Yeah, nice little reverse pass there. But notice the player who in the attacking half of the field, boom, right there, she gets it. She's going to be the player in the middle, in the attacking half of the field who starts or gives the pass to set everything up. So all 3 defenders are attracted. She gets it, continues to rotate into space, gets it again, eliminates 2 defenders with that pass to a player who's rotated into a space behind and between defenders. All right. And we get to see a goal. All right. Another Barcelona clip. Center back gets it inside the box, which now we can do off the goal kicks even. So you notice they shift through the center backs. Got the triangulation of players again. We find the higher player. This is a little bit more realistic. There's some dodgy passes in here and some maybe not the best control first touch. This might be what it looks like a little bit. And again, this is where as a coach and as a team, you have to be like, hey, it's going to look like this sometimes. It's not always going to look amazing, but we have to get better at it. We're not going to get better at it unless we try it. So we might have some of these scary moments. All right. So there we play back to the goalkeeper because playing out of the back is not always about playing from the goal kick. So they recover possession. They use their goalkeeper. All right. Goalkeeper is very patient. The whole team is very patient. Again, she uses the dribble there to create a passing lane. And now we have an easy exit from the back. All right. They attracted a lot of players to one side. They try to go to the other side. But again, they're going to get pretty easily into the attacking half of the field. All right. So this is Seattle Sounders and Barcelona Academy, not the real Barcelona. This is in Arizona in the middle of nowhere. So you see, just very patient, moving it, attracting. Going back, maybe not the best moving up top to prevent options. So we just switch it. All right. And again, easily get out into the attacking half of the field by going there. All right. This is the Seattle Sounders again and NYFC. This is the Unite team group. All right. These are 2 of the better. I think this is Gio Reyna is on here somewhere in the NYFC. I think this is from last summer. If it's from this year, then he's not. But if it's from last year, he's definitely on here somewhere. But again, nice big switch. You notice how Seattle gets across the press. So we're going to switch back the other way. Now let's go back here for a second. We talk about, let's look at this. I can't see your chat. But if we could put a poll up, I would like to see how many people think this player has a left foot that he's confident in. I bet you the number would be pretty low, because look, you see this player, he's asking for it. He wants the ball served in the air over the top because he knows he has space, but this player can't, because technically he hasn't worked on his left foot. So this would be something for that player. Hey, I've got to be able to do that. For a right center back, you think, oh, I'm right-footed, I don't really need to use my left foot. But here's an instance, if your team plays out of the back, that it might provide you some problems. But fortunately, his goalkeeper was there. You can see his goalkeeper probably didn't want to play on his left either, though. And somehow we get out of it, and they exit. But again, if your team's going to play this way, that's going to influence you as a player and what you have to do in order to be a player at the highest level. So that center back and that goalkeeper, I'm not saying they don't have a left foot, but in that situation, under pressure, to strike a specific sort of pass, they definitely did not have the confidence to pull it out in a game situation. It would be something that they need to continue to work on, and it probably is something that they're working on, but it just kind of highlighting how your team plays, or the way that you as a player prefer to play, is going to influence the decisions you should be making about what you're working on individually.
Hey, Joe, can I just chime in here on that one?
You may. Let me go back.
Yeah, that's fine. One of my comments with this is, like, this team is really, I mean, they're kind of stuck. They play out of the back and they deal with a lot of pressure. You know, at our level and at the college level, you know, I always tell players it's about find a balance. Like, yes, we want to build and play, but if you're getting pressed, you know, that aggressively, if there's nothing wrong with solving that problem with a bigger pass, you know, at times, because if they are going to commit 5 and 6 players to press, and you can find, if that defender were left-footed and he finds that pullback, we're out of pressure, and now we might be able to go fast. You know, we might be able to go through the middle third into the final third a little bit quicker, because we were able to absorb pressure and break it. You know, maybe it's a series of short passes to absorb it, and then you find that one longer pass. You know, same thing happens kind of in that middle third. If you're swinging that ball left and right and they're just staying really compact because they do not want you to build through the middle, nothing wrong with maybe keeping that head up field and seeing is there space in behind? Can I solve the problem with a longer pass? So, you know, I think, Joe, you commented earlier about some of it is coach driven, where we say we really want you to play, you know, this way. And
Yep.
that's, we take ownership over that if something happens. But, you know, I think at our levels, you're going to find opportunities where it's a balance, and you can find that other answer to solve that problem.
Yeah, I mean, and when you want to break things down, like for me, like what happened in this, as a coach, I would be a little bit like, ooh, okay, that wasn't ideal, but I would be okay. Like the players solve the problem. Now, if the players don't solve the problem, we're going to have a discussion. But I mean, again, for me as a coach, like I've said, this is how I want you to play. Are we going to look at things and say, maybe we could have done things differently? Yeah. But like there's times where me as a coach, I live with more risk than some other coaches might. Again, it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's something, it's a really good thing. Like you guys have Zoom meetings now, and maybe you don't say very much or don't talk to very much, like, or even individual meetings. Like ask these questions, like, what do you want? What do you prefer? What are your priorities as a coach? And maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And finding those things out really are helpful. Like for me right now, this goalkeeper, I don't know if Hadley's on the call, but Hadley and I would definitely be having a discussion about her body position right here and her choice in what she does with the ball. Because if she has this open body position to begin with, see how he has to open up as the ball comes across. If he starts out in this position and the ball comes to him, he could take his first touch forward and eliminate this defender altogether, and he could play it off of either foot. So if he wanted to play a longer ball, he could. But right now, because he doesn't have the confidence with the left foot, he can't play a longer ball to get out of pressure. So that might be something that he and I would have a little discussion about. So it really comes down to like these kinds of questions and these kinds of details and figuring things out for sure. So and like Jesse said, every coach is going to be a little bit. Jesse and I both want to play, but we're still going to have a little bit of different idea about how we want to do that. So instead of, players can kind of look at that as confusing But there's really, most of the game is gray. You know, most of the game is about that. You're going to go to college and you're going to find, you know, your coach might tell you something you've never heard before. And it's new to you. And your choices are, okay, I can adapt and figure this out, or I can resist it and maybe never play. You might go to college and find out that you have a new coach after your first or second year, or worse, your senior year. You played one way for 3 years and then the coach changes. So you've got to learn how to adapt and kind of figure some of these things out in the game for sure. So a good point by Jesse. This last one, all I want to look at right here is, this is Villarreal in yellow. They're going to win the ball back. So they're defending right now, and they're going to win it back, and they're going to possess it solely for the purpose of organizing, to get that maximal occupation of space. So they have no intention of going forward right now because they know they're not in a great position to do that. So that's all we're going to look for. First, we're going to watch it twice. We'll look at, you can watch the ball first and the choices they make with it, or you can watch the players off the ball. All right, so you pick, first time watch one, the second time through watch the other one. All right, so this is the first time through. Won it back there. You can see it, all they're doing is giving themselves, and obviously they're not getting pressed, so they're able to do that, but they recognize, hey, they're not pressing us, and they win a foul, they get a free kick. So we'll watch it again one more time here. So if you watch the ball, watch the players off the ball. If you watch the players off the ball, watch the ball. If you can watch both at the same time, good for you. We'll make you an assistant coach on one of the teams. All right. So we see that. So that's it today. I think